Okay, let's see. Okay, recording has started. Oh, wait, somebody raised hands. Okay, so once again, the second slot is about effective teaching practices, some effective teaching practices. So I believe that since most of you have taught before, face to face, so basically I'm sure that you know what works and what doesn't work in your own classroom sessions. However, what we are going to look at today, although we are going to discuss effective teaching practices, due to the pandemic, we may have other concerns that we want to share. So basically, now, these are hypothetical questions. You don't have to answer. I remember when I started teaching, I have this fear in me, where to start or where to begin. And sometimes when I'm very tired at the end of the day, I will have these questions in my mind. Why am I here? I mean, why am I teaching? Why must I teach? Do I want to be here? Now, do you want to be here does not mean do you want to be in this course or not, but do you want to be teaching? Do you want to be teaching in a higher learning institution? So all these questions, although you don't have to answer now, it can keep you motivated at the end of it. Trust me, because you are appointed as a lecturer, you must have some sort of, commitment or a passion towards teaching or towards meeting and talking and communicating with students. So you will come back to the right path, inshallah, if you feel demotivated one day. So come back to these questions. Let's begin. Again, this slot has 3 sections. The first one is effective teaching practices. The second one is writing or teaching philosophy statement. And the last section is about teaching during the pandemic. Before we start, let's go to this menti.com. This is a different page altogether. I'm sending this in the WhatsApp group so that you can actually go to this and share your opinion about what are the 3 effective teaching practices that you use. If you only have one, not a problem, I believe. If you have more, feel free to share using the microphone, not a problem. So let me type the address and the number so that you can actually go by clicking at the URL address that I am sharing on WhatsApp group. ECN2. Okay. So menti.com W7Y6 NZ6 EC2, and voting code is 750343. Okay, now did you get that? Did you get that?
Yes, Prof. Yes, okay. Prof.
So let's see. So your best effective teaching strategy. Let's see what we have here. Okay. So for those who are not able to get the link, you can just go to www.menti.com and then use this code 750343 in order to share your best effective teaching. So basically, we will be able to see the word cloud coming in once you have actually, yes, the first one, two-way communication. So once you have actually chosen or typed your effective teaching practices, then we will be able to see here. Let's give another 2 to 3 minutes. Wow. Now, some of you may be asking, why do we have two here? Simply because one person put a dash here, and this is no dash, so that is why it becomes two words or two different words. One-to-one teaching, drilling, interactive, so very good. Drilling, one theory with practical, very good. Demonstration, wow. One-to-one online. Okay, consultation, face-to-face, online, continuous engagement, visualization, video. I like video. Independent learning, interactive, continuous engagement. Okay, application. Hey. Humor intervals, very good. Practical, interactive discussion, very good discussion. Face-to-face, very good, relate with current issue. Hands-on, okay, right, very good. So we have here the biggest word is discussion. So I would say that most of you have chosen discussion as your best effective teaching practice. So you do discussion regardless whether it's face-to-face or online, so you do discussion, very good. The second biggest word would be demonstration as well as interactive. And the rest, we have independent learning, theory with practical, visualization, collaboration, practical hands-on, humor intervals, humor is very important, face-to-face consultation, two-way communication, very same, video, case study, very good, open discussions, theory with practical, application, facilitation. Kau tersasul terus. Simulation, drilling, continuous engagement. Okay, very good. Fellow friends, ladies and gentlemen, so basically, these are the, in your opinion, the practices that you have used so far and you believe that these are effective. So again, there's no right or wrong for this one. As long as when you use it, it is effective, then it is good enough for you and for the students. It may not be effective for another group of students or for another lecturer. So do not worry too much about it. So thank you very much for these opinions about best effective teaching practice. So let's move on to the first section, which is the effective teaching practices. At least there are 10 effective teaching practices. The first one, maintain good communication skills. Now, somebody mentioned about this one here, two-way communication. We have two-way, we have discussion. Discussion means that you actually talk. So maintain good communication skills is where you build rapport with the students. You have to know your students by name. so that when you are having, for example, face-to-face session with them, then you can call them comfortably. And when the students realize that you can remember their names, then they will have or show greater respect and greater engagement in their own learning process. Now, remember to always have open and clear communication. The students sometimes can be very difficult in terms of understanding your instructions. So you have to make it clear as possible, and it must be open. So maintain good communication skills. That is the first effective teaching practice. The second one is where you have to engage the students. Now, when you have discussions, for example, or when you have practical or hands-on, or when you have whatever labs or simulation that you have, you are basically engaging the students with the learning process and with the lessons of the day. So it can be student-centered. Most of the time, if you want to engage the students, we are using student-centered approach to learning and teaching. You can use interesting and engaging educational games as well as activities, and you can use technology as well as multimedia resources in order to engage the students in the learning processes. Number 3, somebody mentioned just now, humor intervals. Use humor. Yes, this is the third teaching practice, effective teaching practice. Use humor. However, you have to make sure that you use humor at only appropriate times, especially when you realize that the students need some sort of pick me up session or pick me up feeling kind of thing. So you do or you use humor to attract and retain students' attention. If possible, try to use humor that is related to the lesson of the day. That would be more beneficial. Number 4, act. Do not react. What does it mean by this? You have to have clear rules. So sorry. You have to be firm and you have to follow your own rules. So basically, at the beginning of the semester, you will have some sort of a class policy. Number 1, if you do not submit your assignment by the due date, 2 points will be deducted. Or for online learning session, if you do not switch on your camera, you will be considered absent for the day. And you have to follow these rules in the sense that if, let's say, by the time comes for the student to submit the assignment and they actually were late to submit, then you have to deduct the marks. So you have to follow your own rules. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 5, you have to be clear and precise in your instructions. As I said, students can easily misunderstood you. Use simple words and phrases. Go straight to what you want the students to do. Because if you have a longer instruction, chances of misunderstanding is very high. So break the sentence, the long sentence, into short phrases or sentences. That would help a lot. Sorry. Number 7, give room for individualized learning. Students have different background, students have different capabilities, and students learn differently. So because of that, you have to prepare activities and materials in various formats. And give the students freedom to choose which one that suits them the best. Number 7, positive feedback. So give feedback when the students encourage the other friends to respect the feedback. This is very important. you have to be sincere about giving the feedback so that you can actually encourage a positive atmosphere of learning. Now, a quick question. How do you give feedback to the students? What kind of phrases do you use? So let's ask Dr. Haliza. Dr. Haliza.
Yes, Prof.
Dr. Haliza, macam mana bagi feedback, positive feedback kepada student? Ada contoh tak?
What do you mean by positive feedback, Prof?
Okay, contohnya kan kalau students tu, let's say kita minta dia bercakap di hadapan kelas, kemudian apa yang dikongsikan tu macam bagus, cara pembentangan bagus, so kita nak kena bagi positive feedback lah. Kita nak, jadi macam mana kita nak, apa perkataan yang sesuai?
Usually I just say to them that very good job, you done a very good job. Or sometimes when they answer the questions very good, awesome, and then I give them like chocolate.
Okay, bagi coklat.
Just a small token.
Yes, as a token. Okay, good. Biasanya kalau macam pelajar tu macam katalah dia jawab betul, lepas tu kita bagi dia hadiah kan? Kita bagi dia token, bagi coklat. Kawan-kawan yang lain cakap apa, Dr. Haliza?
Kawan-kawan yang lain they try to macam dia cubalah try to berlumba-lumba try to answer the question.
So sebenarnya dia berlumba-lumba nak dapat coklat. Mungkin kan?
Maybe.
Yes, tapi in order to get the chocolate, kena jawab soalan dulu. Okay, ni ada Dr. Adnin. Dr. Adnin cakap tentang start with appreciation for the students' effort, then baru start dengan our comments. Yes, positive feedback. This is also similar to constructive comments. Sometimes the students are not performing well, but we cannot say teruknya. No, we cannot say that. So we will say that good job, you have spent a lot of time in preparing this. These are the things that we need to improve. So something like that. So Dr. Adnin shared on our chat box here. So we start with appreciation for the students' effort. Maksudnya kita kata thank you very much for your time preparing this. Then baru start dengan our comment. So comment can be, of course, comments are used to improve the students' performance. Comments bukan saja nak puji bagus, pandainya, tak. That will not help the students. Rather, when you give comments, make sure they are authentic and honest in order to make sure that the students can learn from the experience. Okay. Faizal pula. I always compare to the worst condition so that students know that they are always worst condition and be positive. Okay, kejap Dr. Faizal boleh explain ni tak? Apa maksudnya always compare to the worst condition ni?
Ya, boleh Prof. Contoh kalau saya minta student listkan 5 faktor, let's say 5 factors, and then they were able to list 3 factors, then I always say, better than 2 factors, better than this. So it sounds sometimes it sounds a little bit silly, but it shows that we always support them and compare them. They are better than the worst condition. So let's say they say, Prof, doktor, saya buat benda ni, saya dah pakai duit saya sendiri, saya rugi RM100. Itulah RM100 tu banyak compared to RM99. RM100 tu sikit compared to RM101. So those kind of things lah yang saya buat. So they know my style. So at least they know that I'm positive and try to terapkan nilai positif tu in their mind.
Bagus, very good, Dr. Faizal. So we can also use this strategy in giving positive feedback to the students. As Dr. Faizal said, it may sound cynical, but it's actually trying to actually poke their awareness so that they know, orang lain tu dapat 2 je, at least ni 3, so better than 2, something like what Dr. Faizal said. Yes, okay. Komander Arif 101, apa maksudnya ni Komander Arif? Apa maksud 1 ke 1?
Okay, Doktor. Macam tadilah, I pendek-pendek ya, P to P, F to F dan sebagainya. 101 mean, ni pakai binary ya. Mula kita mula kita puji dah, okay. At least kurang-kurang kita kata, okay, you berani menjawab. Then after that, of course jawapannya kalau tak betul dan kita orang kata apa? Kita belasah sikit lah kan. Kita komen. Dan at the end kita naikkan balik dia punya moral dan sebagainya. You can do better, as you can always go find the answer here and there. Dan kita puji dia balik. Macam tu. Mula puji, lepas tu kita whack dia sikit, lepas tu jangan whack, tinggalkan. Whack, kemudian kita puji dia balik. Dan kita,
betul. Thank you so much, Commander Arif. Okay, let's move on to number 8. Effective teaching practice, number 8. Involve students in decision making. So let's say you are preparing learning materials for them. At one time or once in a while, ask the students, do they prefer a video? Do they prefer a picture? Do they prefer reading material? So get the students involved in the decision making so that they will feel more engaged. So basically, let's say you have various formats and then you ask the students, it depends on your own preference because students have different capabilities and they have different styles of learning. So allow them to actually choose which one that they want to use. So, or if let's say you ask them which one do they prefer and you follow that. So the students will feel very much appreciated and they will become more engaged and committed in the learning process. Number 9, use peer learning. So this is where you have very good students in one class helping the less proficient students in the same class. So let's say you have a group work. So put 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 good students in one group so that these good students can actually becomes a facilitator to the other weaker students. So in this way, you are actually engaging the students more to assist other students and to become more active in their learning process. And this is one example of pedagogy, especially if you are using technology. And trust me, the students will be more confident after the learning process, simply because they feel that they are needed. However, you have to monitor. We do not want the good students to only participate. We do not want the good students to only be the one who write everything. So make sure that they are a balanced function of all in that particular group. Last but not least, in terms of the effective teaching practice, enjoy teaching. When you love your jobs, you become more committed, you become more dedicated, and students respond positively to authenticity. Trust me. And because of this, you will have a clear philosophy, you will have a clear vision in executing your task. Some of you may say that, oh, my task is only teaching. Not exactly that. Teaching encompasses also finding and curating best materials to be used, selecting the best or the most suitable assessment. So there's a lot of things that you have to do under teaching. Talking about philosophy, we are now moving to the second section of the slot, writing a teaching philosophy statement. Some of you may say, why bother? Or some of you may say, do we need this? Although I cannot 100% say that you do not have to write. But from my experience, if you have a teaching philosophy statement, then it will actually guide you better in terms of your teaching practice. And scholars have agreed that effective teachers understand their roles and has a philosophy. And the philosophy includes your personal values about teaching, your personal beliefs about teaching, self-reflective statements that also provide examples of what you do. Now, how do you write your teaching philosophy statement? Using these three aspects here, your teaching philosophy statement must include also objectives. Now, your objectives of teaching will include your personal values as well as belief about teaching. So this one here. And then the methods, approaches, strategies, platforms that you will be using in your teaching practices, and evaluation. So assessment types that you will be using, the platforms or medium should be stated also in your teaching philosophy. Basically, your teaching philosophy statement is discipline specific. So when you write your philosophy, if you are an engineering lecturer, so you will say that as an engineering lecturer, something like that. And you use first person pronoun. For example, I, my, so reflective pronoun. Now let's have a look at my teaching philosophy. I have been teaching in this university since 2002 during the Atma Military Academy of Malaysia's year. So 2002. Prior to that, I was teaching in a private university. And even then, I had a teaching philosophy statement. This is actually the latest, which was written about 5 years ago. And this is the simplified version of my teaching philosophy. So my teaching philosophy focuses on tapping the students' potential by linking what they already know to the new information. I believe that all students have individual potential and capability. Thus, student-centered learning and blended learning are the main teaching approaches that I employ during face-to-face and online teaching and learning sessions. I believe that students learn differently. Ways of assessing them must vary. Using both formative and summative assessments, I prefer the concept of assessment as learning. So this is my simplified teaching philosophy. Let's have a look at other examples. Now, this one here from a mathematics teacher. So I base my teaching on the belief that the only way to learn mathematics is to do mathematics. While the process of reading examples and proofs in textbooks and from lecture notes is valuable, the real learning comes through one's own effort at solving mathematical problems, either computational, theoretical, or both. This is achieved mostly through class assignments, but also through in-class discussions and exercises. I view my role as a facilitator for this process. I must design the framework in which learning can take place and then stimulate and nurture the students' development, giving help in terms of knowledge, techniques, and encouragement. So this is another one. I am a teacher educator because I want to change the world. a very huge statement, I believe. While I realize what I hope to accomplish is limited, I know education is where I can have the greatest impact. I want my students to understand that the professional world they will inhabit, the school, is not immutable. As future teachers, they can make a difference and their classrooms can be healthy, supportive environments in which their own students can grow and learn. So basically, these are three examples. Of course, they are not perfect. They are not perfect. They can always change. Teaching philosophy statements are dynamic. You can always change. But why must you have this? So that you can always refer to this whenever that you are stuck anywhere during your teaching profession. Now, the third section of this slot, teaching during the pandemic. But before that, can you write a one-sentence teaching philosophy statement and share it with the rest of us using the microphone? We are giving you about, say, 2 minutes to write just one sentence teaching philosophy statement. And then we will just ask for volunteers. Can we do that now?
Yes, Prof.
Okay.
Sure.
So just write one sentence of your teaching philosophy statement, and then let's hear from any one of you your one sentence teaching philosophy statement. Dr. Hafiza angkat tangan. Kenapa ya? Oh, ni ha.
Ya.
Ya, Dr. Hafiza nak
Hello,
share.
Prof.
Mari mendengar.
Yeah.
Okay.
One sentence, right?
Yeah, just one sentence. We just want to see.
Okay. For me, I believe the teaching is actually a partnership between students and the lecturer.
Basically, let's say your statement, you will say that something like, I believe that in teaching and learning, it is a partnership between myself and the students.
Yes.
Because when you write a teaching philosophy, you must use I to emphasize that this is mine. This is what I want the students and the rest of my friends to know. Yeah, but very good. Partnership. Partnership between myself and the students. Yes. Okay. What about Dr. Farid? Dr. Farid?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, Dr. Farid, satu ayat teaching philosophy.
Teach them as you want to teach your children.
Okay, macam mana kita nak tukar dia kepada teaching philosophy tu? So you can start with, my teaching philosophy will, ataupun you can say, I will teach my students as I teach my own children. Macam tu ke?
sort of lah. Dia macam dia the engagement with the students is not limited to only you sort of like deliver the content of the lecture online.
Okay.
But you have to go deeper than that, such as if you see some of the students yang is not performing in the class, you actually message them personally and ask them their problems and whatnot, and try to get yalah, dia kalaupun dia tak aktif secara online dalam kelas tu, kita boleh perasan lah. And then bila dia tak aktif, dia tak perform. So bila dia tak perform, we need to take some measures in order to rectify the problem.
Okay, kalau macam tu, bila Dr. Farid menulis teaching philosophy Dr. Farid, you will have to include something like this. I will make sure that all students are involved in the learning process synchronously or asynchronously. Macam tu, contoh. And I will contact those who may have problems in their learning personally. So teaching statement ni macam our promise to our job.
Student.
To the students lah, kita punya klien, kita panggil klien kita adalah student. Jadi bila let's say katakan nanti bila kata kita macam feel down, kita kata kenapalah students markah rendah macam mana ke apa ke, kita patah balik kepada teaching philosophy kita, tengok balik kepada janji yang kita buat, apa objektif kita untuk mengajar dan apa strategi yang kita nak guna. So benda-benda macam tu. So by writing a clear teaching philosophy, insyaAllah it will actually help you to become effective teacher or effective educator. So sebab tu siapa yang kata tak penting pun benda ni, kita mengajar je, dia macam as if mengajar tanpa panduan lah, some sort of. I do believe that. Kalau kita tak ada panjang teaching philosophy, tak apa, tak ada masalah. Bukanlah kena 50-100 muka surat, bukan. Satu paragraf, dua paragraf pun sebenarnya is quite good. As long as kita state kat situ our promise, kita nak guna apa. Blended learning, for example, flipped classroom, or we want to use more Socratic method. Ataupun kita nak guna assessment dia macam mana. Contohnya nak guna online exam saja ke macam mana. So kita letak di situ. So yes. Now what about, thank you Dr. Farid, thank you very much. Okay, there's one comment here. To provide the wisdom they need in learning. So this is from Dato' Nixon. Dato' Nixon said that to provide the wisdom they need in learning. So basically, I believe that this is on providing the philosophy so we can help the students. Dr. Hafiza said macam aku janji untuk diri sendiri. Betul. This is macam aku janji Dr. Hafiza. Macam kita kata, this is my promise. My promise in my teaching profession is, and then you state whatever the promise that you want to do. Okay, Dr. Adnin, yes, okay, faham. Thank you very much. Okay, Dr. Hafiza angkat tangan. Dr. Hafiza nak tanya apa-apa? Kejap. Dr. Nur Suraya ni partisipan ke? Dr. Nur Suraya boleh
Tak, Prof, silap. Saya tak padam.
Okay, sorry. Hi, Dr. Nur Suraya. Dr. Nur Suraya partisipan ke?
Yeah, I'm one of the participants. Ya, betul.
Okay. Dr. Nur Suraya ni orang kuat Pusat Pembangunan Akademik kan? Okay, apa teaching philosophy? Katalah satu ayat saja.
Okay, hi Prof Jo, thank you.
Hi.
Okay, I punya filosofi dalam pengajaran is because I'm teaching something like about financial and economics. Okay, my philosophy, I always want to ensure that my student keep up with the current issue, and in addition of my theoretical punya subjects lah. So always want to keep up with the current issue.
So kalau macam tu, Dr. Suraya, you can actually write it in such a way that I believe that students must be informed of the current
Okay.
issues so that they will be able to understand more of the lesson. Something macam tu. Mesti kita kena pakai I ke I ke. Sebab as a commitment kan, as a promise. So kalau macam kata di sini tulis to ensure student keep up with the current issues kan dekat chatting box kita ni. Ini hanya jawapan, okay, apa you nak buat? Apa you nak pastikan student tahu? So it's not teaching philosophy statement. So statement tu memang kena statement, kena clear cut. Okay, Dr. Faizal dia tulis okay ya, alright. Dr. Faizal tulis as a sport scientist, I believe that I can make a differences by contributing in both elite sports and sports. Dr. Faizal, elite sports ni apa?
Elite sports ni yang involve elite atlet lah, yang wakil negara yang competition tu. Sports for all ni semua lapisan masyarakat lah, daripada kanak-kanak sampai orang tua.
Oh, kalau saya hanya main netball untuk sekolah rendah, saya hanya sports for all lah.
Yes.
Kalau saya main untuk Malaysia, saya elite punya ni lah.
Yes, professional and semi-pro kita anggap elite lah.
Oh, saya bayangkan elite ni raja-raja main kuda tu, polo. Nampak sangat tak berapa pandai. Okay, thank you Dr. Faizal. Okay, Dr. Nantini. Dr. Nantini dia share di di chat box. My aspiration is to deliver theoretical and practical knowledge in the most effective and creative way using blended learning while continuously assessing the effectiveness of my teaching methods. Very good. Very good, Dr. Nantini. So this is just one sentence tau. Bayangkan kalau we are able to develop this to make it a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, then you will have a complete teaching philosophy statement. However, sahabat semua, your teaching philosophy is dynamic. Okay, so if let's say will your philosophy change now as you have to teach during the pandemic? So if you say yes, okay, and if you say that tak payah change, now something is not right because the medium of instruction now has changed. Let's say in your teaching philosophy statement, you are referring to only face-to-face sessions and all. So it wouldn't be effective for you to use the same teaching philosophy when you are teaching online. That's 2 different scenarios. Now, coming to this last section of the slot, teaching during the pandemic. Ta-da! Okay. 2 terms originated because of this pandemic. The first one is pedagogy and the second one is emergency remote teaching. The first term, pedagogy. Sean Michael Morris and his friends in University of Colorado, Denver, they coined this word, panic and pedagogy. So it becomes pedagogy, referring to what they are doing now, the uncertainty of preparing for the online classes. So what you are choosing in terms of the platforms, in terms of the materials. So that is the meaning of pedagogy. And on another level, pedagogy also means you have to understand the students' practicalities. You have to make sure that the students have the opportunity to learn and connect. So very importantly, this one. Now, the second term, this is the official and formal term for teaching during the pandemic, which is emergency remote teaching. Why is it emergency remote teaching? Because it is an alternative. It is an unplanned method for delivering instructions simply because you and the students are not able to be together in one physical space. So that's why we call it emergency remote teaching. Now, if you say that, oh, I am doing online teaching now, actually this term is not appropriate. Online teaching always refers to a stable curriculum and syllabus. So what we are doing now, emergency remote teaching. In fact, this is our second semester teaching online fully. So it's no longer emergency remote teaching because you have had time to prepare for this semester's lessons. So it is called remote teaching now. I will explain this after this. Now, a quick question. Did you experience panic goji between March and April 2020? Let's ask Dr. Fazila.
Yes.
Dr. Nantini?
Yes. Oh,
Panik tak? Panik tak?
panik sangat.
Yes.
Panic.
I believe that this is the first time for everybody. So I remember I had this panic attack. What if the students cannot understand what I'm teaching? Or, alamak, students ada data tak nak access my video ke whatever. So you have this panic goji, but just for a short while. After that, you actually went into emergency remote teaching. You don't plan. You just pick, you choose and pick, and then you just deliver straight away because you are running out of time. So that's why it is called emergency remote teaching, the official term. Now, before we go into online teaching, emergency remote teaching, let's have a look at this. Just now we talked about effective teaching practices, the 10 effective teaching practices. Now this is best practices for teaching online. Let me enlarge. Okay. So this one here. We have 7 best practices for teaching online. The first one that we have to look at and understand is teach for online students. So basically, you have to break your lessons. Let's say if you have a 10-minute videos, let's say one 10-minute video, you have to break them into maybe 3 or 4 short videos. We call these nuggets. Simply because the students cannot be watching 10 minutes straight. Their time span is very, very, especially online learning, during online learning. So you break the learning session or the materials into smaller chunks, and you have to establish a pattern of activity and due dates. You have to describe your expectation for online participation, for communication, as well as for netiquette. Remember, I said just now that at the beginning of the semester, you set the rules. When we are having online session, everybody must switch on the camera, for example. So you set this expectation so that the students respect this. And very importantly, because this is online, you have to provide technical support information. Maybe you are not able to do the technical troubleshoot yourself, but you have to tell the students, okay, contact this technician from PTMK, for example, for any issues about Al-Fatih e-learning portal, something like that. The second best practice, real world applications. So you have to motivate the students by making a real world connection, by showing them whatever that you are teaching can be applied after they have graduated. So this is something very, very critical, simply because when they say that online learning tak nampak pun authenticity-nya, tak nampak real pun, so you have to make the effort to motivate the students by actually showing how whatever that they are learning can be applied outside of the campus life. Instructor presence. Now, ramai daripada kita, for example, feel that, oh, I can just upload the materials on our Al-Fatih e-learning portal and then let the student play around with it. That is very wrong. You must make sure that your presence is felt by all your students. How do you do this? Number one, let's say you are recording a lecture slide. Switch on the camera so that when you do the screen recording, your face will also appear together with your slide. So that is strategy number one, to show that you are there, although virtually. So when the students play the video, they will actually see you at the bottom or at the top of the video. Number two, very importantly, when you do or when you use MS Teams like this, we are doing video conferencing, switch on your camera. So this is very useful for synchronous learning, where they can ask questions, you can give feedback, you can respond straight away. So this face, okay, as a teacher, as an educator, is what the students need to see. And the third one, when you use WhatsApp, for example, I know that not everyone will be using MS Teams. You have to understand that when we use MS Teams, for 3 hours lesson, the students will have to use 1 gig to 3 gig of their internet data. So once in a while, you have to arrange. Tell them, my practice is, I will tell the students, okay, tomorrow we are going to use WhatsApp for our lesson. And for the other class, we are going to use Al-Fatih e-learning portal, for example. So tell them in advance. So the third strategy for making sure that your presence is felt is when you use WhatsApp, try to use your voice note in the WhatsApp application. Ask questions using the voice note and then ask the students to respond using the voice note. So that's 3A. 3B, you have to keep in touch with them. Make a rule. Okay, after 5 o'clock, if you're asking questions, your answers may be delayed. Something like that. You have to set the rule. But please respond to the students' question on WhatsApp so that the students will be kept motivated. Although motivation is something that quite complex, but we have to make sure that the students know that we are always there for them, although virtually. Number 4, clear expectations. So this is something that you have to give at the beginning of the semester. You have to give detailed syllabus. You have to set due dates as well as schedule, and you have to have clear assignment directions for the students to fulfill. Most of the time, students will feel that, you did bila? So either you have forgotten to give them, or the students can simply be, all over the place. So clear expectations, you have to tell them what they want, what you want them to do, so that they. The next one, learning objectives. All of us have prepared our L1 beautifully. We have our course outline, everything. So we have to make sure that everything is aligned towards your educational outcome for your particular program. Now, for online learning, something special or something different about this is you cannot afford to have extra, not really related documents, because students simply do not have the time to look at it. They just want to focus on what matters to them. So learning objectives, make sure your course content is aligned with the objectives and assessments that you prepare for the students. The next one, prompt feedback. So you have to provide feedback to improve students' outcome. So this way, the students can improve themselves, and very importantly, provide timely feedback. So this is why you say that if the students ask questions after 5 o'clock every day, expect delay so that they know when to ask questions. I'm sure all of us have other roles as a wife, as a mother, as a father. So very importantly that you have to have a good time management between all this. Last but not least, you have to engage the students. Excuse me, sorry. So you must have a quality interaction between you and the students. And this is how do you know that you have provided a quality interaction? This is when you see the students are able to answer your question, or this is when you see a very healthy discussion online about the lessons of the day by the students, from the students. So these are all good signs that you have actually achieved a successful class. So that's why you have to create an educational experience for students that are not only challenging, but also enriching so that their academic abilities can be extended. And very importantly, you have to allow the students to interact with each other, such as through discussions or group work. So basically, these are 7 best practices for teaching online. I'm sure there are more best practices that you may have found in your reading, but this is like the main ones, and something that we have to always consider this in our teaching. Now, what are the challenges when you talk about teaching online? Now, before we go into the challenges, we have 2 challenges, tools, platforms, as well as assessments. We have phases to reach online teaching. Remember just now we talked about emergency remote teaching and then online teaching. So basically, when you say that you are offering online teaching per se, that means your syllabus, your curriculum, your assessment, they are actually a stable set of assessment, a stable set of curriculum. So you have designed it well, you have tested it, and in order to offer a fully online course or program, it takes more than a year to develop, sometimes 3 to 4 years. So what we experienced last semester was emergency remote teaching, because there was no plan at all how to deliver our lesson. We just do it spontaneously. I believe that now, this second semester of teaching online fully, we are at the stage of remote teaching. So this remote teaching can be 1 semester, or maybe next semester also remote teaching. And then it's going to be enhanced remote teaching. And last but not least, the phase is online teaching. So basically, these are the 4 phases with different characteristics. For example, emergency remote teaching, there is no plan at all. And online teaching, there's a very systematic planning and design and development of the curriculum. Okay, now somebody is asking questions, let's see. Okay, this is on the teaching philosophy. So Dr. Farid said, when dealing with my students during these difficult times, I believe that personal and individual touches and effort of going the extra miles will always motivate the students and help to elevate the depressions, good, and mental health issues that they might face, very good. Dr. Suraya said that my aspiration is to provide a practical learning platform that allows students to get exposed to the real world and be able to share the principles and practices to community. Very good. Okay. So let's come back to the challenges of teaching fully online or teaching during this remote teaching phase. So in terms of tools, applications, as well as platforms, you have to think of which is the most effective. Always remember that what is effective for you may not be effective for other educators. So we have WhatsApp, we have MS Teams, we have Zoom, we have Kahoot to do quizzes, we have Padlet like what we used just now, we have also Mentimeter, Telegram, Facebook, we have Twitter, we have Socratic, a lot of available platforms, but which one is the best not only for you, but for your students? Because our students, they have different needs, they have different challenges, they have different difficulties. So you must always negotiate this with your students. And very importantly, I believe when you talk about tools, applications, and platforms, students and educators must have stable access to the internet. That's number one. Number two, we must always have enough data, internet data. As I said, 3 hours of MS Teams for the students is actually 1 to 3 gig of data consumption. Remember, our students are not only taking our course. One semester, they may be taking 7 to 6 courses, and in one of these courses or 3 or 4 of these courses, the educators will be using MS Teams. And most of our students, they are on a prepaid data scheme. So we have to think of that as well. So it is a challenge for some of us. The second challenge is assessments. How do we assess the students online? We are always taken aback by plagiarism. How do we deter or stop plagiarism from happening online when they do online assessment? Very importantly, I believe the types of questions that we want to actually give to the students, that will determine whether the students are able to plagiarize or not. If you ask questions such as, what is the meaning of culture? I'm teaching culture and development this semester. So let's say a question, describe culture. Now, what is culture? Students can easily Google that and cut and paste. So a better way of asking or checking the students' understanding is, you can say, what is the difference between national culture and local culture? Then the students will have to think of what is it that they are expected to do, or what kind of answers. So types of answers, the kind of questions, categories of questions are very, very important in an online assessment. Timing. You must always think of timing. If let's say in our normal face-to-face assessment, let's say final exam, they are given 2 hours. So for final exam, you must actually you must add maybe 5 minutes at the beginning and 5 minutes at the end. Because if let's say you are using, for example, Google Forms for your final exam, or you are using emails for them to submit, let's say you give a certain period of time, you have to think of whether the students are able to send. Maybe there's an internet disruption at their side. So give and take in that sense. Discuss with the students prior to the assessment. And what can you use? You can use Google Forms, MS Teams, emails. Last semester, I used for test 1, test 2, and final exam, exam.net. So this is an environment where you actually control in terms of their ability to cut and paste, because if they leave the screen will be locked. So they are not able to go back into the exam page until and unless they ask you to unlock. So something like that. So these are two main challenges. Of course, there are others, but we focus on these two. And that's the end of our session. But before we end this second slot, let's go to this Padlet here and share your concerns. So this is the Padlet. Let me copy the link, and then I am going to share in our meeting chat. Okay. This is the Padlet, the address. So please click this and let's share your concern about teaching online. So, okay, somebody, let's say, right. Okay, chatting. Is everyone okay?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, dapat Okay, mari kita bersama-sama share our concern. Macam concern saya is that students are not able to achieve what they are supposed to be achieved and they do not reach their full potential. Itu concern saya sebagai cikgu. What about your concern? So let's give it 5 minutes for you to share your concern. For those who are not sure how to add your sticky notes, this is the pink button here with a plus sign at the bottom of the page. Click here and then you will have the sticky notes reappearing. Ada ni Anonymous kata same with you Prof. Concern dia sama, students tak dapat nak achieve apa yang dia sepatutnya achieve. Very good. My concern is about the validation process. Okay, tak habis lagi ni, tak apa. Okay. My concerns are actually agreed by 4 of you. Cute. Very good here. Lack of concentration of the students. Students are facing more challenges to attend online class. Okay, tak apa. Okay. Okay. I learned about new exam.net. Thank you. May I know who actually wrote this? My concern is about the validation process. I will learn more about new exam.net. Thank you. Siapa ni? Maybe saya boleh share demonstration video on this. Siapa ni? Siapa ni? Siapa yang tulis ni? My concern is about the validation process. Saya boleh share exam.net video. Dr. Shima, betul lah. The students are bored at home. They are all stresses up. They still haven't adjusted. Oh, tak habis lagi, sorry. Okay, this one. not focusing during lesson, Dr. Fazila, copying during test or exam, scary. Okay, tak ambil lagi. Macam mana tadi? Okay. My concern is that I'm afraid if I do not manage to evaluate students' full potential. Okay. Students are facing more challenges to attend online classes, considering special cases such as domestic ni kesian ya. Domestic violence, working part-time job to help family, taking care of sick family member, different people, different situation. Very true. I like this one. Yeah. Oh my God, this is so true. Not only students, lecturers are also very tired at home doing multiple tasks. This is so very true. Ini siapa? Who's writing?
Saya Prof.
Hadiza. Doktor, okay doktor, saya akan email kepada Doktor exam.net ni ya.
Oh, I thought the other one.
Sorry, maksud saya yang ni. My concern is about validation process. I will look or learn about new exam.net. Siapa tulis ni?
Tapi saya nak juga Prof. Walaupun saya tak tulis, tapi saya
Prof,
nak
saya
juga.
pun nak juga dah Prof.
Okay, nanti saya share dekat WhatsApp group yang saya buat tu. Yang demo
boleh,
tu ya.
boleh.
Okay.
Thank you Prof.
Okay, Prof.
Welcome. Yang ini kan sungguh lah. Ini lecturer pun tired tau. Masak-masak semua. Actually saya tak masak pun, tapi sajalah. Okay, my concern is that what I taught in the class, okay tak habis lagi. Okay, ni Dr. Shima tadi dah habis. Students are bored at home, so true. They are all stresses up, betul. Haven't adjusted to the pandemic. They play games until early morning and hardly have the energy to focus on online classes the whole day. I'm stressed too. Now, this is so true. I'm sure most of us are actually having this almost similar concerns. Kita stress, kita pun penat because dah lah nak cari bahan yang sesuai and then kita nak kena pastikan pelajar kita betul-betul dapatkan. So go back to your teaching philosophy to cheer you up.
And then Prof still need time to study about the new method. We also need to study about the new method and then we want to teach them also.
Yeah, betul.
Quite tiring.
Sebenarnya dengan teknologi ni ada banyak applications tau yang kita boleh pakai. Cumanya nak cari masa untuk belajar tentang application tu. Satu. Yang kedua, kita nak pastikan betul boleh ke tidak application tu menjadi satu platform yang berkesan kepada pelajar kita. Itu yang kita nak kan. At the end of the day, kita nak pastikan the students are actually learning and they are engaged in the learning process meaningfully. Itu memang susah sebenarnya. Memang susah nak dapat. And okay, my concern is about assessment and evaluation. Betul lah, kita tak pasti. Tadi ada yang kata tentang student meniru dan sebagainya. Kita bukan duduk dengan diorang kan. Macam mana pula kita nak ni, although ada juga application yang kena pasang kamera, remote camera, tapi student kena ada kamera lah attached to the PC atau laptop. And then kita akan remotely boleh monitor dia. Ada juga macam tu, but that will require a lot of technical work sebenarnya. Ni, my biggest concern for the foundation students of this cohort is they might not get a proper transitioning process from secondary education to tertiary education, which will affect not only the degree courses that they will be choosing at the end of the year, but the overall difficulties of teaching and learning experiences the students are going to face in their degree year. Betul. Ini daripada chatting lah, saya chat dengan students. First year, saya mengajar first year. I'm teaching the first and the third year, the final year of our ZB03 program, Bachelor of Social Sciences, Cross-Cultural and Communication program. Yang third year ni because dia dah belajar last sem secara online masa minggu ke-6. Yang first year ni, ada student cakap, ma'am kami masuk universiti sebab kami nak pengalaman socialize dalam universiti. Jadinya kita kena pastikan that okay, now you cannot socialize physically but you can socialize, online. So that's why kita ada WhatsApp group, kita ada MS Team ni kan dia masuk by group, by kumpulan, so we can always chat, we can always talk. Cumanya nak pastikan because when you have not met the students, I have not met the students personally and physically, so it's quite a challenge for me to remember the names of each and every one of these students. And then bila kita nak bagi assignment, nak bagi group work, kita tak pernah dengar dia bercakap secara berdepan. So we are not able to actually gauge their level of confidence and proficiency. Sebab kalau online ni, boleh aja tulis-tulis, type, and then jawab pun macam sekali lalu. But it's not really engaging, I believe. Okay, some of the B40 students do not have laptop and enough data. Betul. So this is something that you have to think of. I remember last semester, masa tengah panik goji tu, so I was telling some friends that I'm going to teach using WhatsApp saja, simply because the students do not have data. Itu pun kalau kata saya nak share video, saya pastikan dia lesser than 1 minute. Saya buat animation video lesser than 1 minute, and then saya reduce the resolution of that animation, and then send through WhatsApp. So the students don't have to use a lot of data in order to download. And bila saya buat video yang ada voice over ataupun yang ada gambar saya dalam tu, saya akan kecilkan file video tersebut. And it must be below 4 minutes. So kalau video tu panjang, katakanlah topik tu panjang, kita kena breakkan dia. So that tak boleh lebih daripada 4 minit. So that bila kita hantar tu, dia akan tengok point 1 ataupun part 1, video 1, point 2 di video 2 dan sebagainya. And make sure kita reduce berat video tu kepada untuk mobile accessibility. InsyaAllah students boleh download and dia takkan guna banyak data. Itu pengalaman saya lah. Okay, and okay. My concern, class not reach out to the student. My concern is that I'm afraid I'm not managed, okay. Not only student, lecturers are very tired. Betul yang ni, itu kita totally agree. Today is my daughter third day potty training. Allahu Akbar, best potty training. So the mother or the father is actually doing a course online and also teaching online perhaps, and then the daughter is having the training. Okay, this is very true. Both students and lecturer are in tough situation. Betul, saya totally agree on this one. Assessment and validation. Betul. Lack of concentration. Betul. Saya setuju yang ni. Yang lagi copy cut and paste memang exam.net. Do not reach out. Yep, true. Okay. So, sahabat semua, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our session. And remember, Padlet ni akan sentiasa ada di sini. Kalau kata nak tengok apa-apa ke, tak ada masalah. The same URL address. So these are the references that I have used, these slides. And if you still have questions, again, reach out and let's share our expertise. You can reach me at juwati@upnm.edu.my, and of course, I welcome comments or questions on whatever that we have looked at and shared for the past 1 hour and slot 1 from 9:15 this morning. So if there are any questions, please ask. Okay. Okay. Najib tanya. Okay, never mind. So I will share with you the slides that I am sharing with you now on our WhatsApp. And then I am also going to share the demonstration video on exam.net. So here, Commander Arif commented, the attractiveness and sophistication of my teaching materials compared to that available media on the net. Commander Arif, would you like to share more on this, whatever that you have written here?
Yeah, Doctor.
Yeah, okay, Commander Arif.
Our students, they are what generation Y or generation Z? They are very conversant with the online game, etc.
Yep.
So the media, the online media that available is so sophisticated, interactive, and so on. So compared to the one we as lecturer able to produce, the one that we push to them or we share with them during our teaching may not as sophisticated and attractive as the one available YouTube, etc. on the internet. That may what we call reduce their interest in looking at our teaching material compared to the other material that available on the net. So I don't know. Probably the younger lecturer, they are much better in producing a good, attractive teaching material. But probably the generation like me, to come up with such sophistication and attractive video is quite a challenge. That's
Okay. So, are you comfortable with the digital technologies that we are using now, Commander?
I'm catch up because I myself have to do a lot of learning to come up with a good teaching material. But so far, I think manageable, and I think I can get in touch and deliver my subjects accordingly.
Okay. Okay. Very good. But if let's say any one of us have issues, or let's say have problems with any of the digital technologies that you plan or that you are using, you can always ask around. Our PPA, we have Dr. Sherry, who is the e-learning coordinator for the university, and she knows a lot about all these digital applications as well as platforms. So you can refer to her. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, friends, any other questions that you may want to ask? I have actually WhatsApp the slide in our WhatsApp group, and I'm also going to share the files for the slides that I have used in this group in MS Teams. Yes. Anything else? Okay, friends, ladies and gentlemen, if there is a new message. Nur Zalina, saya akan share kepada PPA whatever slide nanti, and then kita akan Jangan risau kalau ada apa-apa pertanyaan, boleh je email saya bila masa. So with that, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. No, not morning. Afternoon to all. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you all.
Terima kasih banyak, Prof.
Thank you.
Okay, saya Nazarina. Untuk sesi pagi ini, 2 sesi telah tamat, Alhamdulillah. Kita akan sambung jam 2 nanti ya. Semua peserta masuk semula. Untuk sesi seterusnya. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.